gave you the Rams side of the Trent McDuffie trade yesterday. And it's pretty cut and dry. Like, it's all about winning the Super Bowl this season. For the Kansas City Chiefs, I think it's a little more complicated than that. And we are entering uncharted territory and sailing into rocky waters, choppy waters that we have not yet seen and sailed into as sports fans, as Chiefs fans, as sports bettors, with Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs. I acknowledged, right, that the Chiefs got an absolute haul in this deal for Trent McDuffie. Like, you can't say otherwise. Now, maybe they blow all the picks and all the players stink. I have no idea. But they got a haul. It is a really good return for Trent McDuffie. I think that this is symptomatic of a bigger issue right now with the Kansas City Chiefs. The issue is, I don't think they have that many good players on the roster. And they've given out some bad contracts, most notably to George Karlaftis, which is he's a good player, not a great player, and he's being paid like he's a great player. And they had to get under the salary cap, so you cut Jawaan Taylor, which is really easy, and then you trade Trent McDuffie, who's an ascending young corner. And the thought process there is, Steve Spagnuolo is a miracle worker. And they traded L'Jarius Sneed, right? That happened with the Tennessee Titans. And Steve Spagnuolo's been able, who's like a Hall of Fame level defensive coordinator, obviously, was a defensive coordinator, for people that don't know, of my Giants when they beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 42. And Spags has this ability to take, corners and safeties that you've never heard of, and all of a sudden they're absolute monsters in this scheme. And I am sure that Andy Reid, and I am sure that General Manager Brett Veach, that their thought is, Spags will figure it out on defense. We'll get this haul for Trent McDuffie. We don't have to pay Trent McDuffie. We can spend the money elsewhere. And the Chiefs are now $23 million under the cap by virtue of this trade of Trent McDuffie and the impending release of offensive tackle Jawaan Taylor. So the Chiefs still have moves to make, and 2 first-round picks coming up now in the NFL draft. One inside the top 10 and one at the end of the first round. So, Kansas City, over the next 2+ months, is going to add a lot to its roster. Money in free agency, multiple first-round picks. Maybe here's Jeremiah Love in the first round. Maybe you can have that luxury of taking a running back in the top 10 because you have a pick now at the end of the first round as well. So what the Chiefs are going to do, I think, a good amount here. They are not going to sit on their hands. They know that last year, 6-11 with Patrick Mahomes, tears his ACL towards the end of the year. He's aiming to be back in week 1. They know that it was unacceptable. They know that. And they're going to do everything they can to get back into gear and get this roster recharged and roster reloaded for a run in 2026. But here's the uncomfortable truth. And here is where we're in uncharted territory. And here is where, at this point in the calendar, this is the choppiest waters we've ever seen with the Kansas City Chiefs. On Monday morning, to start the show, first show in the month of March, I asked the question to the audience, and I put it out there on social media. The question was, Duke, Arizona, Michigan, Florida, or the field? I will ask a similar question right now. So I'm going to ask the question, and I am going to, what's called in this profession, lay out. And I will have a few seconds of silence. And I want you to think about what your answer is to this question. Not knowing what the Chiefs are going to do, maybe they do a lot of great things, but also not knowing what other teams may do as well. If I gave you the choice right now, and you can, AFC West, AFC whatever, if I gave you the Chargers and the Broncos, or the Kansas City Chiefs, who are you taking? Chargers and Broncos grouped together, or the Kansas City Chiefs? Who are you taking? I can't believe I'm saying this, and I acknowledge things can change. We'll see. But right now, the answer to that question is, if you're being honest, even if you're a big Chiefs fan, and I've been invested in the Chiefs many times, you know that if you've listened to or watched this show. I'm not a hater. I call it like it is. I keep it real. I'm honest. I can be wrong, but I tell you exactly what I think. I think it's clearly the Chargers and the Broncos. And I'll take it a step further. I think it's the Chargers. Now, the Broncos actually have proof of concept. The Broncos actually, we're the 1 seed. The Broncos actually won a playoff game. The Broncos hosted Championship Sunday. And I think if Bo Nix played in that game, they would have been the ones to lose the Super Bowl to the Seahawks, not the New England Patriots. So Denver has the proof of concept. But the Chargers, man, now there's a little bit of hypotheticals here. And the hypothetical is, can Justin Herbert play well in the playoffs? But man, you cannot discount and overstate how big of an upgrade it is for the Chargers going from Greg Roman running that offense to Mike McDaniel. This is the equivalent of going from driving a Pinto to a Ferrari. Can Joe Alt stay healthy? Can Rashawn Slater stay healthy? If the answer to that question is yes, the Chargers will figure out the interior of their offensive line. They got a ton of money to spend again. They go and figure it out. They are going to be nasty year 3 of Jim Harbaugh. And here's still the Denver Broncos, who actually, won the division last year. Look at the rosters. Yes, the Chiefs have the best player. The Chiefs, maybe it will go down as the best or second best or third best quarterback ever in Patrick Mahomes. But you saw last year, and this was my mistake last year, someone who loved the Chiefs until it was time to stop loving them, and it was too late. Team sport. And the rest of the team ain't good enough. Look at the rosters. Tell me which ones are better. It's LA, the Chargers, and it's the Denver Broncos. I don't even know if it's that close. And I'm not insinuating Kansas City's going 6-11 again. I absolutely do not think that's going to happen. But right now, we are going to enter the start of the NFL league year where a strong case can be made. A strong case that the Kansas City Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, are the third best team in their own division. What a time to be alive.